All right, in this next episode, we'll be talking about all the things that's coming up, some things about one championship, about my fighters fighting deep championships. So check it out. Don't miss it. Right on.
1978とある田舎町で生まれて移り住んだ新宿で育ちこの町で起きたこれまでの俺たちのここまでの生い立ちはほんのまた序の口試されたいちいち正してきた過ち騙し合いやからしないはスニッチの始まり放課後の苦惨症児童館にホームアローンそんな時間はほったらかして向かったとある場所
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Yamatodamashii podcast. Enson, how you doing?
Good, man. Good. Real busy. Real busy with the team, and a lot of stuff still coming up.
Yeah, it was a busy weekend for you. It was a busy weekend for MMA. A busy weekend for MMA in Japan with deep jewels, one championship also in
had
Japan.
deep jewels, one championship, Shuto,
Shuto. Yeah.
all on the same day.
All on the same day, and then RIZIN next weekend. So it's funny how, like, after the big New Year's show in RIZIN, there's always this like dip. There's not many shows, and there's never much news to talk about in the world of Japanese combat sports. And then suddenly, it's like it never went.
Yeah, it's really
But yeah, so today we thought we'd touch on a number of different topics. But the first one I wanted to talk about is why are you laughing? Sorry.
No, because freaking cowgirls like she's all like an old lady, but she's like sprinting around because she's gonna eat.
Oh,
This cowgirl sugoi. Yeah, she's running around like dead. Like what the hell? She's going crazy. So she's such a foodie.
right. New lease on life.
So sorry for the disruption.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so what we were going to touch on today, first of all, was the deep show, right? Because you had Koichi from Team Yamatodamashii having his fight against Suzuki. So I'm really keen to hear your take on that. If anybody wants to watch the fight, it is available on the Deep YouTube channel. But yeah, maybe talk us through going into the fight. How was preparation?
Yeah, preparation was really good. So he was ready. He was excited, felt confident, and yeah, I mean everything went well. So he was ready. And the fight didn't do too well. It was kind of real complicated because I also was a corner, and then I found out a couple of days before that I couldn't go into Tokyo.
Oh,
Yeah, so I couldn't corner, and then it was funny because we forgot the shirts for some of the fans. Or Kosuke then bought shirts, Koichi shirts to wear, and we couldn't. So I had to drive back and get it. I barely made it for the fight, so it's kind of like a real busy day. And when the fight came up, the guy was just a lot better than him. He
yeah,
lost. He got choked out actually, and the amazing thing is, um, he fought to the end.
yeah.
He lost the fight, but now what you don't really see in nowadays is he was so concentrated on the fight when he was getting choked out. Instead of worrying about passing out, he was to the very end working on trying to get the choke off his neck. So that was really impressive. That was really impressive to see.
Yeah, you never see that in modern MMA these days. People tap straight away. Whereas that was a throwback to your era where I was so shocked because if
Yeah.
people haven't seen it, I think Suzuki he's standing, Koichi's standing and he's got Suzuki on his back. He's got a real tight choke trapped in, and you can see he's trying to fight it off with his hands. And then it almost was he out on his feet? Because it almost looked like he was out
I
on his
think
feet.
he passed out on his feet.
Yeah, because his opponent just kind of kicked the cage like a little bit, and he like pushed him all the way back. And to me, it looked like he'd almost given out because he was already out on his feet. So
Yeah, I think he actually started falling because he passed out.
right. Yeah, it was a pretty dramatic finish, but I was impressed at how tough he was. Couple of questions about the fight. There was they almost said it was like an illegal knee, right? Quite early on in the fight. Do you think that threw Koichi quite a bit? Because he looked like he was ready to just
No,
carry on fighting.
I think it was a real sharp call by the referee Uematsu.
Mm.
It was a good call. I don't think it did much damage. It was just one of those things that he kind of got nicked on it when he was still on the ground, and there wasn't any damage. So that had nothing. That had no play in the fight.
Yeah, it looked like it didn't affect Koichi in any way. I just meant perhaps maybe his rhythm in terms of, suddenly he had to stop for like 2 minutes, right, in the middle of a fight. How distracting is that for a fighter when you have
Well,
those
I
timeouts?
think more than that, it was. I think he was getting kind of hit hard with the calf kicks.
Mm,
Yeah, so he kind of I think just threw his whole rhythm off the calf kicks, and I think the guy's speed was a little bit caught him off guard,
yeah,
and he just couldn't get his shit going. And if you notice the fight, the guy was coming off with everything first.
yeah,
The only time Koichi did come off first was he kind of caught him and caught him with a little combination, but he didn't keep the pressure. So yeah, I mean, hats off to the guy. He had a better technique, better game plan. Was much more prepared.
yeah. His opponent definitely seemed pretty well rounded. His wrestling looked pretty good, right? The way he transitioned into to getting some of
Yeah,
those shots. Um, where how did Koichi take the loss?
very hard, very hard. I mean, it was to a point where for the first 30 minutes he pretty much didn't talk,
Mm,
didn't answer questions. So the doctors were worried, but I was like, no, he's okay. He was just in shock.
mm.
Yeah, and of course, he was so disappointed he couldn't stop crying. And yeah, it looked pretty dramatic the way he lost. Yeah,
Yeah, it did.
it was dramatic because after he passed out, he woke up right away. But because he was in shock, he laid down. And yeah, I mean, we should have sat him up faster so it didn't look as bad. He was laying down for a long time, so it really looked bad. Really looked bad on him. It looked like he got really hurt, but he was actually laying down in shock on his back.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that was one of those things that I had to talk to him about. Get up, don't show the injury. Get up if you
Mm.
can. Sit
Yeah.
up, sit up, and then Ikeda kind of dragged him and put him on over his shoulder, like I mean, kind of put his arm around him. Like I was like, "Fuck, what is he doing that for?" Let him walk out on his own power. It
Mm.
ain't that bad. He made it look way more dramatic than it was.
Yeah, he's in a difficult position in Koichi because that was his pro debut, right? But because of
Yeah,
breaking down, he's got that following where other fighters wouldn't necessarily have that, right? They wouldn't have that
yeah,
following going into a pro debut. So he's got added pressure, whereas I think a lot of other fighters aren't really in that same position when they do their debut.
yeah. He does have a little added pressure, which is, in a way, it's good because
Mhm.
even with that added pressure, it's nothing compared to when he becomes a real famous fighter. So
Mm.
I think it's good practice. The learning that he had, he didn't properly um, learn how to instinctively defend from the choke. He was thinking too much. That's my bad. I should have had him train more defense. And even the standing, he wasn't coming off first. He wasn't moving forward. There's so much learning in this fight. And I even told him, that yeah, you lost the fight in the short term. Yeah, you wanted to win the fight. You wanted to get your the next win and then get your name up higher. I said, but to be honest, for the long run, learning the long run benefits of a fighter and a man, I told him that I'd rather you have gone through what you did today than have a one punch knockout and knock the guy out. And it's really hard to comprehend, that this is actually a better thing. But honestly, it actually is because he's going to become a tougher boy, a stronger fighter because of this loss. And he would have to have suffered something like this sometime down his career,
Mhm.
and better sooner than later.
Yeah, and is that better from you from a coaching perspective? Like now that you can see the areas that you feel he needs to work on.
Yeah. The only disappointment is he is a lot better than he showed.
Mm,
He should have beat this guy. He has the ability to beat this guy. He just couldn't put it together. Just everything. The whole timing was off. He just the calf kicks caught him off guard. The
mm,
guy's speed didn't anticipate that. So all those things. The only disappointing thing is he has the ability to beat the guy, but he just didn't because of the circumstances. Maybe experience. Maybe his pro debut. A little nervous. Yeah, so yeah, that's the only thing is that the only like kind of bummers is like he's better than what he showed.
Yeah.
But other
Yeah.
than that, learning wise, career wise, experience wise, it's all plus.
Yeah, no, he looked competitive in the fight for sure. Definitely, it wasn't like he got dominated or anything like that. He looked competitive. It's just like you said. It was his opponent was almost first to the punch. Even the first kick like lands straight away, and you can tell like, ooh, that's a nice kick to start the fight with. Like,
Yeah, the funny thing is, Koichi actually started off with the calf kicks,
yeah,
and he threw one, and then after the guy threw like three unanswered calf kicks. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
you started it off. Why don't you finish it? Why don't you get as much as he did? So it was one of those things, man. That guy was just more proactive, more aggressive, and took control of the pace of the fight.
hmm. So where do you go next with Koichi? What's the plans?
He's going to take a break for a couple weeks. Get back. He actually wants to get back into training already on Wednesday, so he's probably going to start up again. And next thing for him is Thailand trip. The team is going to go to Thailand. It's going to be a sponsored trip to Thailand. They're going to be there from April 4th to April 20th. Oh, so sorry, June 4th to June 20th.
Wow, sounds like fun. Although it'll probably be intense training, right? And
Yeah, it's going to be very a training trip. So it's going to be Rui, Koichi, Inoue, Animal, Sarah. Yeah, that's the team.
wow,
They're going to be going up there, and they're going to be living at Santian Noise Gym.
whew.
So it ain't going to be no like fun Thailand trip. It's going to be a training Thailand trip.
Yeah,
100%.
that sounds hard. It's not gonna be like the last time
Yes.
Yuji got to go to Thailand.
They're
Although
going
he
to
did
they're
train.
going to get so much better though. It's going to be amazing their
Yeah.
improvements.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we'll come on to ONE FC later, but obviously Moses, the head trainer of Santino's gym, was over in Japan with one of his guys, right? So, he's
Yeah,
got
they lost though, yeah.
they lost, but they got I mean, they're constantly having fighters in one championship and doing
Yeah.
pretty well. So um just going back to the loss, I saw posted on Instagram, Koichi kind of shared some pictures, and it's obviously like the team surrounding him. Like, so they look other than Komura, the whole team was there, right, supporting him. It looked like,
Yeah, Kimura couldn't make it, but yeah, the whole team was there. It's amazing to the camaraderie you saw
mm,
after the fight when how Sattari especially, man, he kept hugging Koichi, talking to him, giving him Sattari's very experienced, giving him words of you know motivation. So that was real for me and Sarah, real touching to see
mm.
the how they pulled together in the time of need.
Yeah, no, it's great. That's why that was my first thoughts as well. It was great to see the team looking like a team and actually really supporting, not just in the highs but the lows as well. So despite the loss, it looks like he's still got a really good thing going with the team. So it's credit to you guys for cultivating that environment. And switching gears, I mean, we said the touch on it. There was quite a few different events happening in Japan this past weekend. Even I saw Ayaka Hamasaki and Deep Jewels getting tapped out.
Yeah, she
Mm.
lost. She got pretty much controlled the whole fight. I couldn't
Mm.
believe that.
Yeah, same. I was shocked. I'm sure that is it Suda? I'm sure the girl that beat Ayaka will be appearing in Ryzen probably coming up. They
Oh,
need
for sure. Yeah, probably get a berth in Rising for sure. Yeah.
they, they need
And
opponents for
another
Izawa.
fight in the Jewels was interesting. Was the first fight of the night was that the actual ex round girl of Rising, Akipi. She actually won her first MMA fight.
Congrats to her. That's cool. Cool
Yeah.
to see the ring girls doing it. Um, but there was also the big One Championship show, which was probably it was the biggest show in terms of attendance. Happening at the Saitama Super Arena. Big main event, Rodtang versus Takeru. Your thoughts on the main event?
Oh shit! It was so disappointing. I wanted to see more of a war,
Hmm.
but Takeru got caught. He was looked like he was just not on beat. Yeah, he was a little off, which happens. And at that level, man, you make a small mistake or slow misstep, and you get caught, man. It's all over, man.
Yeah, such a long build to that fight as well. And we finally get it, and it was just so short. So
Yeah, that was a huge build up for that fight, and I think that's the reason why Vosh came down. He came to
oh
watch the
really?
fight.
Oh wow. So for those that don't remember, obviously Enson has a friend in royalty. um and yeah, so he was there to see for one championship. That's cool. It's great. It
Yeah,
showed
and I guess Richard them got in touch with him, and they called me over for the big meeting, and it was really nice to see him.
Brill. Good, good. Glad you guys are still keeping in touch. Um, but there was a lot of controversy on that show as well, right? The big
Hmm.
one being the situation with Kaito and him pulling out of the fight.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on it? So for those that don't know, it was a very small weight discrepancy that his opponent went over on the weight, and they gave him the option of carrying on to fight, and Kaito turned it down. Chatri obviously had some really harsh words for him after at the post fight press conference. But what was your take on the situation?
Well, for me, I'm from a whole different era, and what I feel in this in there it's changed. But back in our day, the promotion didn't put the pressure on the fighters to accept the fight or not accept the fight. What happened was is you had a contracted weight. As a professional, you have to make the weight. If you don't make the weight, you don't fight. Period. Period. No questions asked. It's not even like you don't even go and say, "Oh, he's over a kilo. You want to still fight." That wasn't even our call. It was a call of the association. The contract says this weight. If you don't make that weight, you don't fight. Period. So, I felt that Kaito, he was just going by the principle of he didn't make weight. And you don't know how much Kaito suffered to make weight. He might have suffered a lot to make weight. And it's like, whoa, this guy doesn't make weight. And there's a thing too about a lot of foreign fighters don't make weight a lot. And what they do is they say, oh yeah, I'm not gonna suffer that much. I'm gonna pay the penalty and still be able to fight. And that's almost what I think happened. I mean, Chatri was upset because I think one did try and schedule a catch weight, and I think there was a little bit of a where they take a percentage of Kaito's opponent's fight money and give it to Kaito. And usually people, right now, a lot of the fighters are yes men. They're all about the promotion, and they pretty much yes to what the promotion. And so a lot of the fighters nowadays would want of course, the promotion doesn't want to lose that fight. So being a yes man is you're doing what the promotion wants. And I think Kaito just stuck to his guns that this is the agreement, this is the deal. Whether it's 1 kilo or 300 grams or 5 kilos, it doesn't matter. He didn't make weight, he doesn't fight. And there was another little bit of a argument about, oh, he only got his guaranteed purse. But yeah, Chatari was saying, oh, he doesn't deserve the win money. He didn't win. He chose not to fight. I agree with him, Chatari, on that. I agree that he doesn't get the win bonus. But as far as criticizing Kaito or saying that he should have fought, I just can't get myself to agree with that. It's the fault of the fighter. One, two. The second fault goes to one championships for not being more strict or not being on the fighter. And I think zero of the blame goes to Kaito at all. That's my opinion.
Hmm. That's interesting, actually. I was wondering where you'd stand on it, just because I know you've kind of got that mentality of, well, you would fight anyone in a heartbeat. Not fight anyone, but you know
Well,
what I mean. You were less
yeah.
concerned about, there was less rules and regulations back in your time,
Well, for
where
me, I my outlook would be like, oh shit, 300 grams, 1 kilo, 2 kilos, 5 kilos, don't matter. I'll fight the guy's the same guy.
yeah,
But then I gotta catch myself thinking that shit. I used to fight unlimited weight class, so it didn't really matter. So
yeah,
no, I don't know. Maybe if I was real nitty gritty about fighting in a certain weight class and I had to cut weight to do it, and this guy doesn't come into weight, maybe I would say,
yeah, yeah,
fuck that. I ain't fighting him. He didn't make weight. I had to suffer. But my past is I fought Mark Kerr when he was like 60 pounds heavier than me. So
mm,
I don't think 300 grams would have made a difference, but I think that wasn't the thing with Kaito. I
It's the
think it was just a
principle, right?
principle
Yeah.
that it was a contracted weight and he didn't carry on to his agreement of the deal.
Yeah, it's just become like a really public spat, right, between them now. I can see he's posting
Yes.
stuff on X.
Yeah.
Chatri obviously had his post-fight press conference. Um, yeah, I don't know where it happens, right? Because one is kind of notorious for having people in contracts and not using them. So it's almost like, is this a really bad move for him? I don't know where he stands legally in terms of the
Well, I
contract.
think it's pretty understood now. He's not going to be fighting for one.
Seems that way.
Sattari even made like a comment like that. Yeah, that
But yeah, like
apparently he needs to fight in smaller promotions or something.
yeah, which is a funny comment, right?
It's kind of bummers because that was actually Kaito's debut in one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So crazy to see it start and finish like that way is yeah something else. But yeah, overall pretty fun card from them. I saw bits and pieces of it because they put it on YouTube for free after or like during halfway through during they tried to charge for it and they had problems with the pay-per-view. So I saw bits of the card, but it was pretty entertaining. Um, Switching gears to the UFC side of things. This past weekend, UFC was over in my neck of the woods. Well, I was in London, which is not too far from me. Um, the main event was obviously Leon Edwards versus Sean Brady, and the card wasn't really getting very good reception, right? And that's kind of been a common theme lately. And the big question that people are saying is, you know, are these UFC cards lacking star power? Because it feels like a lot of the the big stars have either retired or maybe lost recent championships. What's your interest like in the current UFC product? Are you still as invested as you were before?
Funny you say that because the last two UFCs or the last two fight nights I didn't really watch.
Mm,
The only fight I watched in this fight was the main event, the Leon Edwards and Molly McCann, because the stare down was kind of exciting. The way the black girl came up and stared at her, the
mhm.
Brazilian fighter. I mean,
Yep.
so I wanted to see what how good she was, and wow, she pretty much manhandled Molly in all aspects of the fight. So that was interesting. But yeah, I mean, like you said, star power. There wasn't any big names. So when I went through the card, it was pretty much, oh, I don't know him, I don't know him, I don't know him, I don't know him, and I just was like, oh, I had no interest. Because the last one I did watch the Pereira because Pereira was in the fight,
Yep.
but the one before that I didn't watch.
Mm.
There's a
It's
bunch of them. Yeah, maybe King Green I did watch, but there's like one or two fights on the cards that I was interested in watching.
there's
And yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's just a real personal thing that I don't feel like I know the fighters. Maybe I'm not watching enough of the contender series and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's funny that you say that because I kind of do feel that way. Like, wow, there's no star power in it right now. There's no big. Usually they would have at least the main event would have a name like, oh, I want to watch that.
yeah, I don't know whether it's just too many cards or because it feels like there's UFC every week, right? And
Yeah.
because there's so much of it, you almost go, oh, I could pass this one, or maybe I like you say just watch one or two fights from it. Um, yeah, I don't know, and I suppose with some of the big names, John Jones still out for negotiation. Will he fight Tom Aspinall? Alex Pereira just losing that championship is a big loss. Conor McGregor, probably no time soon. um, Even like someone like Dustin Poirier is talking about one more fight and he retires. Um, it's
John
it's a
Jones is postponed in another 6 months.
yeah, it's just there's lots of stars that are not just even not being booked on cards, but and it's like you say, a lot of the names you don't recognize as well is a bit of a struggle at the moment. There's a lot of uh fighters with really long Russian last names on cards. And sometimes, they're not as big as the personalities, I think, as back in your era. And even 10 years after that, you had a lot of the Brazilian fighters, which were very charismatic, very entertaining, crazy strikers. You had a lot of Japanese fighters that were willing to give it their all, and a lot of the American fighters were quite good talkers as well. Even your Titos, your Ken Shamrocks, your Randy Couture's, your Chuck Liddell, like they just felt like so many more styles, your Rampages. And then you had guys like Anderson Silva doing crazy things in the octagon. So it just feels very different, I guess, the product. I mean, it's great. It's great that it's there, right? That you can watch it anytime. There's always fights on, which is fantastic. I love that element of it. But from a star power perspective, it doesn't have the same interest at the moment. But
I
that
almost feel there's not enough stars for the amount of UFC events they have.
yeah. I think do you know what the other thing as well that plays a real factor is it's so competitive, right, at that level that you start rooting for someone and then they lose, and it's almost like some of the matchmaking they do is they take like the two biggest prospects and they put them together, and then that eliminates one, and then the other one then goes on to lose, and it's just it feels they could maybe protect some of those guys a little bit more and maybe build up those matches. Rather, sometimes the biggest matches are happening quite low down on the card.
Maybe they might need a more storyline that looks more into the future. Maybe.
I will say, and it's quite a good segue, RIZIN just does such a good job of kind of building storylines, right? So I don't know if you've seen it yet, but obviously upcoming this weekend, we've got Chihiro Suzuki fighting Doubtbeck, the guy from Kazakhstan, who's a great fighter. And their big story in the RIZIN Confession series is that Chihiro is training with Kleber, and obviously he fought Kleber at New Year's Eve, right?
Yeah.
Which is crazy. And it wasn't just like a one-time training session. It was like a week and a half. I think they said like 6 to 10 days or something like that.
He kind of went down to Clever's gym, yeah.
Yeah, and actually like trained with the guys, got subbed by loads of the guys, and was there working. What did you make of that out of interest?
I mean, I think that Chihiro, the way I looked at the whole thing is that he kind of admitted that he wasn't good enough, and the fastest way to probably get better, he thought, was to go and train with Clever. And but the thing is I think Clever kind of took it like, yeah, he's like going to be friends now. But Chihiro did make comments in the when he was getting interviewed about, oh, it'll be different when I fight him. So Chihiro is thinking of fighting him again. So I don't know if Clever's aware of that, but yeah, it's just I think I almost feel like it's a little different, two different approaches. But I don't know. I have this funny feeling that both of them going to lose.
Have both got really good competition coming up in
But
both their fights.
I see a good storyline to that.
That's what I
Chihiro
mean,
goes
right?
and tries it. Clever loses. Chihiro comes and steps up and fights the guy.
Oh, maybe. I mean, that's the thing that there feels more compelling stories with RIZIN sometimes than there does with UFC, and they do a really good job of like telling those stories.
Yeah, they're all about the story.
Mm,
Because when I'm trying to get Sattari or my fighters into Rising, it's always about we don't have a storyline.
mm.
So that is something huge that they look at as a storyline. So I guess maybe they're more animated. They're more looking into what fight will lead to what kind of story more than the UFC is. Yeah.
I can think of a story for Sattari.
Oh yeah, I know.
There's one obvious heavyweight fight, which would be a really great story. Maybe not from your
But it's not
perspective.
really a story though, because
I know he's not
they're
involved.
not enemies. They're not enemies at all. They used to be sparring partners. So it's
Yeah,
like even that is kind of like that's kind of a weird matchup if they wanted to do it.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, the thing with Sattari is they wanted him to fight heavyweights,
Mm,
and I declined that. So Sattari is, I'm not sure. It's going to be hard. We're trying to get him into Rising, but Rising doesn't have his weight division, and Rising not willing to invest to fly over a fighter for him to fight in a division that they don't have.
mhm.
So they actually proposed to me to fight Sattari in heavyweights and create his name there. You know, and the good thing about that is in Japan, you don't really need to win. You just got to show your heart, and you'll become a big star in Japan.
Mhm.
But I just thought that Sattari already had K1 made him fight heavyweights, so I felt like that I didn't want him to fight heavyweights. I wanted him to fight in his weight class. Sattari is amazingly powerful,
Mhm.
and when you're fighting someone like 10, 20 kilos heavier than you, your power doesn't look like power anymore because those guys are so much bigger. And especially if there's MMA, I can see those guys, it's harder to fight someone that's bigger than you when they grab a hold of you and they take you down. So I just didn't see any pluses to Sattari fighting in heavyweight, especially he's going to be like making his MMA debut. So yeah, I mean, unfortunately, Rising is not going to happen in the near future. So right now we're looking at maybe the karate combat possibly for Sattari.
Wow. Okay, that could be exciting, especially given the type of guys that they have there. That could be interesting,
Yeah,
definitely. What weight class? Like for those that don't know, what weight class would Sattari's prime weight class be?
about 88 kilos.
Yeah.
And
So
Rising either wants him to drop down to 77 or go up to 110 kilos.
yeah, that's tough. That is the gap with
Yeah,
Ryzen, right? It's gonna be massive.
super unfortunate, man. Yeah, super unfortunate.
It's a shame they don't have those weight classes, right? They don't bring in the talent, I guess.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. Yeah.
And Yuji's got his fight coming up, right? Yuji Inoue.
Postponed again.
Oh, don't lie, he's injured.
So no, he just I don't know why it got postponed, but now it's on May 30th.
Okay, so nothing to do with.
Supposed to be April 6th, but now it's May 30th.
Okay.
Next fight I think is Boo though. Boo fights next in middle of April.
Wow. Okay. Cool. And is Boo fighting breaking down or is it slap?
No, it's gonna be a event called what is the event called? It's a like a underground event, so it's a more of a gangster event.
Okay. Interesting. I mean, heavyweight's wide open, right? And they you look at how high they put some of those fights on the card. I was looking at the Ryzen 50 fight order, and the Royal Sakai and the Ed Apollo King fight is really high on the card. It's like after the intermission. And you know,
Yeah.
I know
Well,
Sakai's been.
heavyweights are exciting this time.
Yeah, it is. It is exciting, and that guy Ed Apollo King's got quite a lot of hype, right? Because he was a breaking down guy.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see
Yeah.
what happens with
He
him.
has a good following, and he's got a good win on the last one, beating Shoshi's brother.
Yeah, he beat Tak Kenshin really decisively. So,
The exciting thing too is they're gonna be having a heavyweight Grand Prix in May. May 4th is gonna be a heavyweight Grand Prix, the first round.
so it's happening. I know those rumors.
Yeah, that'll be exciting.
That will be exciting. I'll be excited to see who's in it. Unfortunately, no Yuji Inoue though.
No, unfortunately not.
Damn it. One day. But cool. Everybody, like, subscribe, share, all this good stuff. Obviously, this was a bit of an update on the Japanese MMA scene. Maybe we'll do one next week covering Ryzen. Who knows? But yeah, if anyone's got any ideas for different stuff they want us to talk about, let us know
In the comments. Yep.
Yep. Cool. Well, thanks everybody for watching.
All right.
And speak to you again soon.
All right. Shoot. All right. Thanks for listening to our podcast. If you have any comments or any ideas on what you want to hear, fill in the comments. Let us know. And thank you for watching. Subscribe, share. Right on.